Hi, so I'd like to give an introductory lesson on playing jazz standards on guitar. So one of the first things that comes into play with students when they're coming fresh into jazz is they get inundated with chords and scales and arpeggios. And while those things are good to really understand the music, there's probably better ways of really creating that music, first steps when they're coming into the music fresh. And as it is with any other language, and I like to think of jazz as a language, the best way to learn is imitation of preferably people that speak that language fluently. And in terms of jazz, that would be the jazz masters. So let's take a very common standard like There'll Never Be Another You, and let's take a master of the jazz guitar like Kenny Burrell. So he would play a chord melody like this. So a chord melody is really useful for understanding a standard because you have that melody combined with the chords. And that's going to give you more motion than I can get from scales, because on something like looking at chord scales, if you know anything about the modes, you'd have E flat major or Ionian, and then you go to D minor 7 flat 5. And you'd have D Locrian, and that's basically the same scale. So here I'm moving between two chords, and I'm not doing anything to show the movement. I would just be playing the same scale. Now, instead of doing that, watch what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just play around with that shape. So what I'm doing there is I'm really using those harmonic shapes as the basis for my improvisation. And because it's an open system, instead of a closed system like using a finite number of notes, I could really do anything here. I could do anything. I could use all 12 notes. And because it's a very open system, I'm relying on my ears and my creativity right away. So it's really a good way to develop that, because in the end, you're going to want to be using those things to create, not thinking and theory. So it's I think playing around with another's chord melodies is really a good step one to really making sense of the music and to play the harmony and the melody at the same time and to eventually play a good solo.